All right, guys, have you ever felt like your home life isn't what you think it should be? It's not as good as you want it to be. Or have you been in a place where there's so many problems happening in your house at the same time, you're just overwhelmed on how to go and resolve each single one of them? If so, listen up, because I created this concept specifically for situations like this. It's called the Family Flywheel. You can see up there. And basically, it's going to walk you through step by step what you need to do to lay a foundation in your house of support and connectivity and communication so that you can resolve all these problems more easily. Okay? So let's get started. The Family Flywheel. What even is a flywheel? We keep hearing about flywheels, and it's been sort of like a marketing thing where it's just sort of like feeds into the next thing. A flywheel is just a big, heavy wheel in mechanical engineering that when you push it, it takes a lot of energy to get it going, but then once it's going, it wants to keep its momentum going, right? Inertia, momentum. So at that point, it doesn't take much energy to keep it going very fast. And if you push a little bit more, it's going to go really, really fast. And at that point, it takes a lot of energy to stop it. And that's the kind of concept that we want to talk about today. We want to create an environment in the house where we're creating positive openness, connectedness in a way that is reinforced such that it becomes so commonplace that the wheel is just spinning super fast. And some of these little negative things that are still going to come into our life are not going to slow that wheel down. Okay, it's about resilience. It's about emotional stability. It's about communication, and it's about creating a resilient culture for this in your house. Okay, so we kind of talked about that already. Some of the ways that ChatGPT says that you can use the flywheel sort of as a metaphor for improving in your family is building momentum. Obviously, when we have positive habits, routines, and communication patterns. Consistency, the more kind of consistent routines and expectations and behaviors that can contribute to a sense of stability and predictability, fostering a positive family atmosphere. Energy management, it'll take less energy from us to break through and get that support that we need. Resilience, like we already talked about. Continuous improvement. As the flywheel keeps moving, we all are in a place where we can continuously improve on ourselves while we're not fighting this sort of like general resentment or general sort of bad vibe in the house. Leveraging the strengths, each family member can contribute to the wheel in their own special way. And the synergy comes when we're all contributing to the wheel, where I'm contributing and someone else is contributing, and then we get everyone pushing against that wheel, and then the wheel is flying and the resilience is off the charts, and things are going well again. So there's three parts to the family flywheel, all right? And the first part is the hardest part, right? Because the wheel isn't even started yet. We got to push that wheel going, and it's probably only going to be you, whether it's you or your wife or whoever it is watching. Personal accountability is going to be the basis with which you do this, because if you're going to try and implement this plan and get everybody else on board with you, you need to have the credibility to push that forward. They need to buy into your plan. But if you're still a source of or a part of the problems in the house, then they're going to be reluctant to follow your plan. So what we need to do is take on the problems that are in the house. How do we do that? We basically go to your wife or your whole family and say, look, I don't like the way the house is right now. And I know that a great deal of that is my fault. And I'm sorry for that. And I want your help to make it better. And we're not asking them to take accountability for whatever you may think is their fault. Don't ask them that. Don't even expect that. It's not a necessary part. What's necessary is that they buy into your plan, this plan, because you've taken accountability and now you are a credible person as a leader. Well, this can be challenging for some guys out there, right? Some guys don't like to admit when they're wrong or don't like to be part of the problem, right? And so when we're taking accountability, we're kind of saying like, I was a part of the problem. They want to be the problem solver. But keep in mind that through this process, we are the problem solver. We are starting this process, and together our family will get together and we will solve these problems. So we are the leader of the problem solvers. But the first thing we have to do is admit that we are part of the problem, right? You have to do that. it'll undermine everything if you don't. No one's going to follow you. A lot of guys fear vulnerability and backlash. So, when you take accountability for things, you feel like you're in a vulnerable position for people to say, yeah, you did, and it hurt, and that sucks, and and that's, you're going to have to push through that, and you're going to have to own it, swallow all that stuff, because that's legit. They're telling you what they've been feeling, and this is a good part of the process. They need to get it out so that they can get rid of that toxicity, and you guys can move forward. Chew it up, swallow it, swallow your pride, kill your ego, and it'll help. So ego is another thing we need to kill. Guys a lot of times have big egos. Women can have big egos too. We need to squash that shit. Everything in the past is past. We're trying to change the future now. Okay. So we need to make amends for what we've done in our contribution and squash our ego. So some men have problems with communication and expressing emotions, sensitive topics, things like that. Look, I just gave you the framework. You literally have to say, I don't like the way things are in the house right now. I know that most of that is my fault, and I want to be different. I want to change. Will you help me? That's all you have to say, right? I mean, for some people that might be difficult, but really, you don't have to break it down any further than that. Like, stop the video and just write those sentences down and repeat them verbatim. Like, hold the paper while you say them to your wife. Like, who cares? Say it sincerely. You mean it, or you wouldn't be here. Okay. Loss of control. Some people fear that there's going to be a loss of control if they admit fault. They feel like they have things in control and they're going to lose control, but you don't have things in control, or else your house wouldn't be in disarray, right? And a lot of men have trouble seeking help. But that's what we're trying to grow here. We're trying to grow a family culture that supports each other, that seeks help from each other. And no one's going to seek help if you're not seeking help, right? So modeling, always important thing to do. The benefits of taking personal accountability are huge. So once you knock out all these challenges, you get through all this, which it's not hard. I just gave you the script for it. We move on to the benefits. You're going to improve the relationships with your people in your family. You're going to knock out all these old resentments that you're holding on to and strengthen these relationships. It's a huge thing. I mean, this is what we're trying to do, right? Personal growth. You're going to grow and become a more mature father, a more mature person. You've accepted personal accountability and you've grown from it. You've accepted other people's responsibilities as your own, maybe. That's great. That's all positive growth. You're modeling positive behavior. Modeling is so important. You're showing your family, this is what it takes to be a mature adult. This is what it takes to be a leader and move forward and put all this crap behind us, because we're moving on. Think about all the stress that will reduce. Think about the stress, like lifting the stress off of you and off your wife, and the effect that will have on your kids. Conflict resolution. Obviously, that's what this whole thing is about, is resolving conflicts. Resolve these conflicts, we can move forward. So the second step, number 2 here, is identifying sources of negativity and getting them the F out of here. All right. Cable news is such a huge one. I mean, it's just toxic. That's all it is toxic. And it only exists just to get you outraged so that you'll keep tuning in. There's people that have cable news on all day when they're walking around the house, and they're just feeding this toxicity. They're just like ingesting it. So get rid of cable news and get rid of social media that doesn't serve you. Unfollow people on Twitter that are negative influences. Twitter can be great, but it can also be really negative. Speaking of toxic people, get the toxic people out of your house. The people that come in your house, whether it's your aunt or your mother-in-law or your kid's best friend or girlfriend or whatever it is, if they're coming in and bringing negativity, they got to get out. They're not welcome here, at least until we get this flywheel really spinning. Too much negativity and toxicity there. Hopefully we've resolved resentment and any unsolved conflicts in the last step. But if there's anything lingering, that's a source of resentment that we need to talk about and work through. Sometimes that can be a process. Sometimes it's just one conversation. Another couple things that are more practical are, like, if you have a lame setting in your house, then that can contribute to a bad vibe, right? If it's dark in your house and there's junk everywhere and it's just cluttery and gross, clean it up and get some light in there. Make it a little bit more of a calm, like spa kind of vibe or whatever. I'm not saying turn it into a museum, but you don't want it to be a hoarder house either. Unhealthy habits. We got to eat right, We got to do exercise. Most importantly, sometimes is sleep. Sleep is one of the biggest habits that we can encourage. We can encourage better bedtimes for the kids, and we can get to bed earlier ourselves. If you haven't slept, dude, if I haven't slept, I'm a nightmare. I'm like, I can't control my impulses. I'm saying things that I don't mean, like nasty stuff comes out, and I'm like, what the hell? A few minutes later, I'm like, why the hell did I say that? But I've already said it, and now I can't back away from it. But yes, you can. You can go and take personal accountability. You can say, I'm sorry, and move forward. But cut that shit out. Overwhelmed schedules is a tough one. I think the way to beat overwhelmed schedules, because it's difficult to remove things from schedules. We all have responsibilities in life, and we all have kids with activities in life. The way to overcome overwhelmed schedules is just have a routine, have a schedule printed out, so we all know we're not taken by surprise by something at the last minute. So once we've removed sources of negativity, get them the hell out. And we've taken accountability for our issues, and we've established ourselves as sort of a credible leader in this new venture we're going on in the house. Now we're going to become a source of positivity. We need to inject sources of positivity. You need to be a source of positivity. You don't need to go crazy. You don't need to be Ted Lasso all of a sudden, but you just need to say nice things to people, show little signs of affection to people, especially your wife, and of course your kids. Say stupid things just to have fun, just make little observations about little small talky nothings. Like, this is how normal people interact with people that they're comfortable with and connected to. They can talk about little nothing things and have a laugh about it. That's fine. That's great. That's introducing positivity. We can set the stage. If you have a lame house, you can change it. You can use better lighting, less clutter, but you can also turn on upbeat music. Now that the cable news is off and hopefully the television is on less and less, we can introduce like upbeat music, and you can dance. And these are just ideas. You have your own things that you and your family would be connected to, and can lighten the mood. But upbeat music, everybody likes music. If you got daughters and you're dancing in the kitchen, like, that's just like huge. It's a great way to establish connection, to establish a lighthearted connection and relationship. Listen to what they're saying. So if we were opening lines of communication here, because in a place where there's no resentment, no tension, no stress, and we've got positive communication happening, then we're opening lines of communication to talk about things, to talk about the troubles that we're having. Maybe we're talking about them in a little bit lighter of a manner now, because it doesn't seem like such a big deal. But listen, in these moments, when the communication line comes in your direction, it's important for you to listen. You're going to gain really valuable insights on how you can turn the flywheel in their favor. Maybe they need, I don't know, they need some encouragement here or there, or they're disappointed that you didn't show up at their hockey match the other day, or whatever it is. We can listen, and we can try to come up with something that can be helpful in the future. Gratitude is also a great practice for introducing positivity in the house. When we think about things, when we focus on things that we're grateful for, we're not thinking about the things that, happen to us that are negative, So I think you can do that in a really genuine, non kind of happy clappy way. You can just like say thank you for your mother making dinner, or your wife making dinner every night at the table, and just generally show moments of gratitude, and find ways to do that. Routines, I think, are huge, because it just takes, like we said before with the overwhelming schedules, it just takes a lot of the stress out of things. So you introduce positive routines, positive habits, and it becomes a regular thing. This is what we do. We exercise in the morning or go for a walk after dinner, and this is what we do. We eat healthy. We're a healthy family. You start to take these things on and make them routines. And you can even use language that's like identity language. Like, our family does this. Our family is a family that XYZ does healthy thing. And then they start to identify themselves with these healthy lifestyles, because you've said, hey, this is what we're all about. Identity is a powerful mechanism, as we all know for the past few years. So the real power comes in the last part of step 3, when we're encouraging and praising others, when they express positivity, when they encourage other people, when they celebrate someone else's achievements or support someone. So we're the source of positivity in the beginning. We're creating sources of positivity, removing sources of negativity, and we're encouraging others to do the same. And when you get them on board and they're helping you, and they're like a little you now doing those things in their own way, because they're their own individual people, then the flywheel is flying and you're all on board. And any little thing that comes into that, you'll be able to deal with. Any negative event that happens, anything that happens in someone's life, or a comment that someone makes can be received in a better way. Can be bounced off of them, or we can work through it if we have that foundation. So I don't want to keep going on very long, but basically what we're doing here is we're creating a positive foundation for your family where there's support and communication at all times. And it's not something that, doesn't take any effort. But once you set up these routines and these habits, you just have to feed them. It's figuring them all out that is the hard part. And then once you figure them out and you're just like feeding them every night, you're going for that walk, or you're putting the music on during breakfast, or whatever it is, that's just what you do. That's just how things are. And it's going to make life a lot easier, and it's going to make your household a lot happier. So listen, subscribe, drop me a comment below and let me know what you think. And I wish you and your family a lot of joy and a lot of happiness.